Welcome to episode 6 of series 3 of our OR Talks podcast. Today we'll be discussing clients expanding abroad and how we can support them. Here are your hosts, Neil Seeger
and Mark Jovanovic.
What I'd say is that things have changed a lot over the last 20 years, yeah? So traditionally, what we would be providing clients with support on import and export, because that's what they did, you know? So it was very much for importing goods or exporting, they would need help and support on that. What's changed in the last 20 years is that obviously the world's become a smaller place, communications and whatever meant that more and more clients are actually physically trading within different countries and all around the world.
Yeah.
So what we've had to do is kind of change what we do, change the support that we provide for them. So if you look at what we now do, yeah, we do importing and exporting because, yes, and it's got more complicated post-Brexit, but it's still a major part of what clients need support on. But there are other things. So as I say, more and more now clients are actually trading in different countries. And when they change in those different countries, our role then becomes slightly different in that we need to help them come up with that kind of global strategy as to how they should trade within those environments. And what they want is they want us to provide the support to know what the risks are, to know what the tax positions are, to see how best to structure those within those countries.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's meant that we need a different skill set to be able to provide that.
How can we provide that?
Well, I'll tell you later. Yeah. So for us, it's kind of like it's knowing how they structure that to maximise the benefit to the whole group.
Yeah.
And the group they work in. Well, it's not just from a tax perspective. I mean, tax is very important, but they can be legal regulations and the other things. But tax can be important from a corporate perspective. So if you look at corporation tax, we have to structure it correctly so that if we've got a group that's trading internationally, but they're maximising the benefits, yeah, and obviously doing it efficiently and doing it correctly. But it's important that the structure needs to be right to fit that. What's also changed, which is it's not just the corporate side, in that the personal side has now become important because a lot of our business owners actually aren't necessarily resident in the UK. So that means that we need to, they can have quite complex tax and financial structures, and we need to understand that, and we need to provide the support. And again, they need to make sure that they've got a structure that meets what their objectives are and what's effective for them. Okay, it's got to be compliant, but it's also going to be tax efficient and compliant. So if you sort of say we've still got the traditional what I call the import and exporting. Now we've got this extra bit now where you've got actually clients who trading physically and need a different type of support.
Yeah.
And then the third thing is actually now where we've got more and more companies from overseas looking to trade in the UK. So although the UK economy, it has its challenges and and people see that it's struggling, actually compared to a lot of the world, people still see it as a stable economy. And people still want to invest in the UK. I would have said it's quite good from a corporate tax perspective, but it isn't at the moment. But people still see it as a very stable place that they can come in. And actually things like bureaucracy, although we think bureaucracy is bad, it's nowhere near as bad as it is in some of the other countries. So our role is going to change where we're having to actually provide, again, thinking about these people coming into the UK, we have to advise them on the structures. We have to advise them how they set up. Are they a branch? Are they a company? What do we actually do with them? And it's fitting into their overall tax structure and whatever. So we might have to provide basic accounting. We may have to provide auditing. We may have subsidiaries and groups. But it's sort of a change. It's a change of things that we didn't used to do. But it's because that's our client bank. Our client bank is becoming this international client bank of clients. So what we had to do because we suddenly over the last 20 years, and it's been a gradual thing, we had to change what we did and what we're doing. And the way we did that was firstly we started recruiting people who had experience. And I know you're going to talk to Sam, and you can ask him some questions about what he does. But Sam's come in, and Sam's got really our head of indirect taxes, and he'll tell you his background. But we've got lots of other people. We've got people who come in who've got specialist expertise dealing high net worth clients. We've got corporate tax partners who deal with the taxation elements of it. And that was because we needed to expand the skill set. We needed to expand the skill set of staff. And then the other thing, again, which I'm sure you'll ask Sam more about, is Morrison Global. So Morrison Global was a network, or is a network of accountants, and they represent 72 countries or whatever in the world. We need to be part of a network because you need people who understand the local economy, the local environment. Because if you're going to provide that support of saying to people, what are the risks, what are the benefits, how do we structure it, you need people who understand that. Now, there are lots and lots of networks, but we wanted somebody who was used to dealing with our types of clients, had the same kind of core values as us. And that's why it took many, many years to get the right network. At Morrison Global, we found them to have that relevant expertise. They're used to dealing with our types of clients, and again, it fits well. We've built up those relationships in those countries. That say most countries that our clients are dealing with around the world, we have got cover there, and we feel that we've got the expertise to help support them. So really, from my perspective, I suppose being here longer than you guys, it has been a big change, and we've had to develop and grow, and the clients have had to develop and change because what they do is very different. You know, it used to be we had big companies might have had a trading outlet in America. Now we've got numerous SMEs and whatever that actually are trading in these foreign countries, and they need our help to do it. You know, and a lot of our work now is working for overseas companies and supporting them within the UK. So I know you want to be. Sam's a good example of people are recruiting and what Sam does for us. So you can drill him down.
Just on the back of that, actually, Colm, before I go on to Sam, it's actually so if you are looking to set up abroad, anything like that, we have actually got relevant experts that we can in those other countries that we can put people in touch with and work for the UK hand in hand. Like, so for example, I've got a tax issue in Italy, for example, which I'd be surprised I had, but if I had, then actually there's somebody that we can work very closely with.
We just dealt with somebody in Italy last week, so we were just dealing with accounts over in Italy last week. Nick was working with Italy last week. So what it is, the big benefit is the people that we're involved with, they're not people that are going to go and charge a client a huge amount of money to get advice. They know the types of clients. They're talking about long-term relationships. And what they're helping us do is to put together a strategy for the client that works best for them. So that's the big advantage of working with Morrison Global, in that we've all got those same core values. You know, it's not about an immediate fee and that's the end of it. We're trying to build something. So often the clients will want us to investigate possibly going. So we need advice from the relevant firm to do that. But actually, it might not be right for them, and then we have to go a different way. So yeah. It's something that we do.
And that's it. People don't always appreciate that that's what we can offer, you know, because you think actually I've got an Italian tax problem or an American tax problem or whatever. Where do I go?
Yeah.
And that's something that actually we do, and we can offer that, which is the idea of this is to make that awareness of that.
And that was driven because that was the demand of the client, because the client, you know, clients trade all over the world here. You know, you set your business up. Your market's not just the UK. Your market's not just Europe. It's the UK, Europe, Asia, America, South America. Before, you know, Australia. It's the whole world. You could trade all around the world. The internet has meant that people know who you are and you have access to those markets. So as accountants and advisors, that's what we have to do for clients, because you know that's the service that we provide.
I think that links it perfectly into Sam's side, because actually, if I'm thinking about setting up or doing something but trading abroad, my biggest fear is VAT.
Well, absolutely,
and it terrifies most people.
That's
giving
away now what Sam does. We're asking what he does.
So what do you do, Sam? Spoiler alert.
I think you should ask. So yeah, I mean, as you know, as you've said, VAT is very much a global tax these days. There's no getting away from it anywhere in the world really, apart from America, who cling to their sales and use tax. Pretty much every country either has VAT or similar system, GST. It's basically the same thing. And how it works internationally has always been like a complicated area that people struggle with, whether they're importing, exporting goods, services, expanding abroad, having establishments or whatever it might be. And a lot of that has, as Colm said, got more complex over the last few years with Brexit and so on.
Yeah.
So really, I'm here to talk about something. I guess I'm a case study of the kind of person who's come into the firm and some examples of how we've been able to help clients with international issues and challenges and helping them as they grow. So just to talk about myself briefly, I've got 11 years Big Four experience.
So you got 11 years Big Four firm experience.
Sort of dealing with a lot of the clients there are massive multinationals, household name firms, and they've all got activities all over the place. And part of my role was helping them navigate the complexities of that across Europe and increasingly across the world as well. So I've got quite a bit of experience in other countries' VAT regimes, dealing with tax authorities, dealing with local firms. In that case, it was within the firm I worked for. We had branches in all the countries, but here again we've got Morrison's, which is a similar model, just more of a loose grouping of like-minded firms rather than being technically part of the same organisation. So yeah, and also 6 years experience in industry where I was a sort of European role as well, overseeing the VAT compliance and advice work for the whole of Europe. So that's just to reinforce Colm's point that we are, as a firm, serious about bringing in people with international experience. So I mean, just to talk about a couple of things we've done for clients recently.
That's my next question.
We've enough about me.
That sounds impolite. I wouldn't say that, but
we've got one client who's quite ambitious. They're selling goods. They're fairly local to here, but they're selling goods in a few countries around Europe. They've crossed. In most countries, there's a VAT registration threshold where if your sales are pretty minimal, then you don't need to do anything. But once you hit that threshold, you have to register just as you would within the UK. They're starting to register in a few countries, and because of the experience we've got in the team, both myself and now another guy who works with me as well, we've been able to help with their Irish registration. We're now set up. The firm is set up as a tax agent in Ireland, so we can deal directly with the tax authority, the Irish Revenue. Represent the client, file their returns, deal with any queries through the revenue portal. We've also helped them in the Netherlands, where they're registered now. We've started taking on their returns. My colleague and I are experienced with Irish and Dutch returns and quite a few others, so we know how to put the return together. We know some of the quirky rules. We know the approaches of the tax authorities. Again, that's always an interesting thing. Some we think go to Marcia bad. Some tax authorities are really, really strict, really pedantic, really thorough. So you get a feel for the level of support clients are going to need through that, and hopefully we will be able to help them through that. Hopefully we're going to do most of that within us, but we know that we've got the Morrison's network there when we need that little bit more specialist local support if there's something really involved. With that client, not only have we done that, but we've actually had calls with them and their shipping company talking about supply chain. We've helped them restructure their supply chain and their distribution centre. I think this is a conversation they had already had with their haulage company. But we're looking at all the implications of that and planning forward, because as I say, they're only registered in those countries, but they're expecting to have to register in Germany, France, Italy, and a few other countries over the next few months. They're quite ambitious about that. So, as I say, the vision is we'll be able to help them hold their hands through all of that, get them registered, help them with the compliance, help them with their returns, and support the business as it grows. So it's been a real success story.
So they haven't got to go anywhere else to get the advice. They can just
we're
all in one place.
Yeah, we're able to do 90+% of that ourselves. Like I said, if it's really complicated, if they're getting to the point where they're having a tax authority inspection or really tricky questions, we might get a local firm involved. And some firms you have to be a resident accountancy firm to file returns. So again, we need to find someone and pay them to. We can still prepare the returns, but
it's not just your big firms, is it? It might be that I'm deciding to go and set up. Quite common Amazon business. And actually, the rules that are around that, it sounds really simple. Buy a few products and sell a few products. Really simple. And I'm selling them to America.
Yeah.
And my goods don't come to the UK, but I'm not really technical, don't worry. But actually don't come to the UK. But actually that causes a big problem because there's local American taxes that no one thinks about. And so a letter pops through my door and says, oh, by the way, you owe a couple of quid. Oh, hold on a minute. No, I didn't even handle the goods. I just bought them in America, sold them, but I'll ship them to the UK. And that holds a whole can of worms. So even though whether you might be 20 companies size, or you might be me by myself, just selling a few things on Amazon. And actually, I might not think these are problems, but they are. And actually, those people that do have those problems can just come, and we've got the specialties, easy for me to say, to have to deal with big and small.
I think like, although Brexit did bring complications, I think the EU is still kind of separate to the rest of the world, and that you add another level of complexity in some parts of the world. America, in particular.
Yeah, that's why I use that one as the example.
Because it is, but that's why you know we've got connections in America that are kind of, they're very used to. We've been over quite a few times to work with them, you know, because we know the right firms in the right places to be able to deal with our clients, because then they understand our sort of businesses, you know, and that's what we've got to do. That's what we've got to do.
Well, I had a client who had a VAT problem in the UK. They also had an income tax problem in Italy and America. And they were UK residents, but the income sources from other countries in the world, and actually being able to network those people up with, you know, the talent we've got here, and also the, you know, the locals who could file the Italian income tax return, for example. Actually, it's made life a damn sight easier.
But you definitely get that transition. We've got a transition thing now between our own clients that are now trading overseas, and then this other work of people coming into the UK. Because equally, there's as much. I'd say there's as much interest now in people coming back into the UK, which I know, everybody says the economy is awful, and it's dreadful, and nobody wants to. Well, they do actually. A lot of firms, you know, we're seeing it from all over the world. I mean, Mark gets involved with a lot of clients that are based all around the world, and it seems to be more and more people do see the UK as a safe haven. They see it as a market that actually is something that they can really develop, and you know. That's why we've had a lot. We've had to change again. We've had to change what we do and our skill set to be able to do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. What would you say is the one mistake that's commonly made by people when they start trading internationally?
I think, but I think from your perspective,
lack of awareness of the local regulations. You like in your example, you know, people are in their bedroom selling stuff on eBay, and they don't realise they've got a VAT problem or various other.
Don't think about that.
Problems, you know, tax, accounting problems, whatever it might be, if their sales reach a certain threshold. So
yeah, speaking
it's
to
being aware that, you know, if your sales reach a certain level, then you probably do have to look at registering or restructuring it and doing it a different way anyway. That's probably the most common.
I think people have that difficulty in that you need to understand how the market. The problem is at the early stages, you don't want to incur a lot of cost. And that's why actually I think the Morrison global firms understand that. But you have to plan that this is going to succeed and it's going to get bigger. And therefore I think the biggest problem is one, people not understanding the local environment, the local economy, and what you have to do. But also thinking about the strategy and how you want it structured. So how does it sit within you? If you were a company in the UK and you set something up in America, you really have to think about not only just the immediate thing of how do I comply, but longer term as this grows, have I got the strategy right? Have I got the structure right to actually be, not just tax efficient, is it? But it's commercially, is it commercially the right thing? You know, does it safeguard my assets? Does it mean that I can successfully trade in that country? And I think sometimes people don't think the longer term because they want to give it a go, which I understand. But equally, you've got to understand what the objective is and what you're actually trying to achieve, you know.
And giving it a go can actually cause yourself in more trouble. It's about that cost benefit, isn't it? You know, it might cost you in the start, it could save you a fortune down the line, and all of a sudden you realise you've sold 100 grand's worth of stuff in America. All of a sudden you've got a different state that you've thought, because everyone Googles, don't they? And actually, if you go and Google something, Google doesn't necessarily give you it gives you an answer, but there could be 200 answers, and that's why people are like, you know, Sam over, you know.
So this is where we get the advice, and as you said, it's giving them advice, isn't it, as to how to actually deal with these things.
Exactly. And as I say, we're never going to know all the answers on all the rules in all the countries, but if we can
With a
80%,
facilitator.
80% of them here, maybe, I don't know, that's a random number.
Yeah, you
but-
probably know, at least 80%.
Or at least know where there's a risk.
Even
Even if we can only answer 40%, but know where there's a risk that we need to get further specialist local help, then that's.
Well, we
still-
facilitate, we are,
Yeah.
we help the clients bring it together, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we try and do, you know?
Both UK and abroad.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Any other cases, any other interesting things that people have,
Yeah, well,
come
I
up
mean,
with?
we've had that one I gave us the biggest, but we've had a couple of others where they've had registrations and they've had issues with previous accountants and come to us looking, or they've engaged a specialist local firm themselves, but it hasn't quite worked out, and they've come to us saying, "You're our accountants. Do you know anyone in the Netherlands, for example?" And we can go in and help. Yeah, we've got one where we're working to correct a few returns from last year that didn't get filed properly. But yeah, I mean, loads and loads. I mean, I think the compliance is potentially huge in terms of doing the returns for people, helping them out, registering where they need to, getting it right. But there's a lot on the advisory side as well. A lot of people just wanting advice on supply chain, on how do they claim import VAT, what do they do about import VAT, exporting, what are the conditions for zero rating exports.
It's massive
Dealing
amount
with
of
I've had 2 or 3 where people have had suppliers in Jersey, for example, which you'd think, well, that's straightforward, but in VAT terms, Jersey's not in the UK. They've got their own tax regimes, so that complicates things. And just random little ones like you were talking about, that Colm was talking about, where we've got directors who are overseas, and we've had a couple where there was one in particular where a director of one of our clients lives overseas in a warmer country, shall we say, and they were saying that cars are really expensive there. So is there a way we can buy a car in the UK and get it over there? And even would the VAT and import duty costs outweigh, still be less than the difference in prices because the price cars are that sort of thing. And you never know what you're going to get. You come into work, which is part of the fun of it. You come in the morning, you never know what's going to hit your desk, but random stuff like that's quite.
And that's probably becoming more relevant, isn't it? Now people being able to work anywhere they want remotely.
Exactly. Yeah.
People are going to be working in different countries.
Do you think? I mean, I bet you every week we've got things going into personal tax from all over the world, isn't it?
Exactly.
All over the world.
So people can be so flexible with where they work since
Yeah.
COVID, really. Not globalities.
But that's also what challenges as well,
Yeah.
isn't it? It's more complex structures, isn't it? Whatever. So.
Definitely, yeah.
If it's complex for us, it's definitely going to be more really complex for people that don't understand it. Actually,
no chance of getting it right.
And we've got the specialities to be able to deal with those things that come up.
I mean, some of the markets, I would say we are. I mean, there's things like Ireland now is becoming quite a because obviously the EU and Brexit. We do have a number of clients that are now operating through Ireland. So we have. I mean, obviously we have got an office up in Northern Ireland, but we have very close connections in the south, and we have a company actually in Southern Ireland as well. But more and more they see Ireland as a good route in, or the Netherlands.
Well, that's, when I was Big Four, a large percentage of our clients were US firms, and they've all of them, like all the big tech firms have got their European headquarters in Ireland because it's low corporation tax.
Yeah.
A lot of Americans have Irish connections and they speak English. So there's just huge, all of
that area,
Facebook,
that's really expanding for us now.
There. So if we can tap into some of that, that's huge.
Well, we got a number of clients.
And that's one of the reasons, we thought it would be useful to set up as an agent with the tax authority. For now, we're helping literally 2 or 3 clients, but that can only grow. There's huge potential there.
Well, you think that where we're going, where we got a number of clients got warehousing setups in Ireland because they bring it into the EU through there. Obviously, the corporation tax rate helps, but actually, it's because logistically it works. They can speak English and all the normal things. We've got very close connections there, but it's something I can see us really expanding out over the next couple of years, where we're having to provide a much more direct support to clients. But again, it's just what they need, I think to be fair, I think with the EU and Brexit, it's starting to settle down now. People have started to kind of work it out. I think Ireland getting very popular to bring goods in, as Holland and I think I kind of think like EU now has been separated into one bit, and then you've got the rest of the world. Maybe America is separate in some ways because that seems very different, and then the rest of the world is just becoming this hot of lots of different things.
I find it fascinating, I do.
Yeah.
I can ask you questions all day.
That's interesting, but there you go.
Interesting. I tell you, we have another silly questions I can ask. There's lots of
You've
them.
got off lightly so far.
Yeah,
It's just
sure.
the change in it, it's the fact that our clients have changed, they, you know, you know that our client bank is a huge range of clients, you know, from local entrepreneurs and small businesses developing into medium-sized businesses, into large businesses that are the global thing. But this ability to trade around the world and have all those options and all that, the different things that can happen, that's open to all our clients. And it's not just small, it's not just medium, it's not just the large, it's everybody. And that's only going to get more and more and more, you know, that's going to get more and more important to people.
Yeah, absolutely. You see it all the time, don't you? I mean, I had one this week, and they've been basically buying trains in the UK and trying to sell trains abroad.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, that again, that's caused the whole kind of worms of things. Actually, it's not just one country; they're selling to numerous countries.
Yeah,
And actually, then it's, well, I didn't think it was a problem. Well, because I'm paying tax in the UK, and I'm not turning over more than the VAT threshold. So why is there a problem? Well, there's a whole host of problems with doing that.
You get just that's such a range.
Yeah.
You get that, or then you get somebody else who they're looking at acquiring a company in Australia.
Yeah.
And you go, well, you know, we'll fly to Australia. But no, that's the difference, isn't it? Our clients are such a range, but everybody has the ability down in this small world, isn't it? They can do whatever.
Sorry.
And this is what this is all about, making people aware that we can help with all of that, because a lot of people probably wouldn't think that we could.
No.
Yeah.
So it's making people aware, it's just letting people know that if they are starting to trade internationally, to speak to us, because we can help.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Yeah, cool. Should we say that? Yeah, cool.
Yeah, thank you. No,
Very much. Thank
really
you.
appreciate your
That was-
insight.
that was
into
useful.
everything.
Yeah.
No, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So thanks for joining us today. Hopefully you found that interesting. And if you need any help or have any further queries, don't hesitate to get in touch. So next month, we're going to be continuing the international theme. We'll be speaking with Nick Farmer.
Oh, a new guest.
A new guest, new to the pod.
Oh.
So if you have any questions on international tax or anything like that, please drop us a WhatsApp on, what's that number?
01905 777 600.
Until next time, thanks for listening.
Thank you.